Back in the state known as one of the zoo capitals of the world, Zoo Tours presents the Tembo Trail at the Toledo Zoo. The Tembo Trail, Tembo meaning elephant in Swahili, had its origin back in the mid-80s, opening as the African Savannah. It was history in the making, not only having a first-of-its-kind exhibit, but it was so popular that it brought the zoo out of a financial crisis, spurring their own Renaissance era. It wasn't necessarily your standard Africa habitat, but like all other exhibits have and will, it became outdated. The African Savannah closed, and in the summer of 2012, the Toledo Zoo unveiled the Tembo Trail, with renovations that focused mainly on the giant side of things. It opened as an African exhibit, closed as one, and opened as one once more. However, along the way, you'll see how all of that dramatically changed. It is now home to one of the more geographically bizarre mix of large animals you'll ever see. Let's begin. At the zoo's southwest dead-end plaza, across from the reptile house, is the gateway to the trail, almost untouched as it was since 1986. The first animals are within the arch, making it obvious of what's on display by this large mural. It's a little indoor pocket exhibit that once contained crocodiles, but now you'll find the rarer Tasmanian devils of Australia, a species that arrived in 2015. However, and here's more footage of the creature, even after going to the zoo 2 times a year since, this was actually the first time I ever saw them, 3 years after their arrival. I want you to stay tuned for the trivia question at the end that will imply why some in America find the Tasmanian devil to be a treasure in their collection. Next, beyond the gateway is a massive surprise, the famous Hippo Aquarium, registered trademark symbol. What you are looking at holds historical significance in regards to zoos, the very first of its kind. Looks simple, right? But at the time, in 1986, this was the world's first filtered underwater viewing for hippos, offering a clearer view from a perspective people now enjoy at nearly every other zoo that displays them. And with that feature, a year after it opened, it was also the first time anyone was able to film a live hippo birth underwater as well. The exhibit itself is 5,600 square feet, equally divided up between land space and water space, where their hippos Herbie and Emma spend most of their time in their 360,000-gallon pool. You can see them from all perspectives, and since they also have a public indoor exhibit, you can see them year-round. But I've actually seen them outside swimming when I visited during harsh winters. With the screens on top, you can hear them bellow and get such a close, clear look at them that you can count the tiny, virtually invisible hairs along their backs. While the Hippo Aquarium may not be the biggest reason one would walk the Elephant Trail, in my opinion, it is the greatest spot to stop and observe animals in the entire zoo. However, that may change, as the hippos will be getting a completely new home in a few years as part of the zoo's master plan. And directly across from them is a similar habitat of smaller proportions, a 2,000 square foot home that primarily only gives you a good look at the pool. Here you can entertain yourself by following the underwater movements of the spotted-necked otter, one of 3 otter species that are native to Africa, and you'll find them displayed at only 10 or so other zoos around the world. Along the path and no longer covered by a canopy is the area that puts the name Tembo in the Tembo Trail, the Elephant Complex, home to a herd of 3 African bush elephants, the largest and oldest, an 8,000-pound female matriarch, Renee from Zimbabwe. Next, the youngest and smallest, Renee's second son, Lucas, that was born in 2011, who's still often regarded as a baby by many visitors. And lastly, an unrelated 34-year-old rescued female named Twiggy, also from Zimbabwe. Their home was the main focus of renovations that altered the path of the African Savannah. What you're looking at is actually the second elephant habitat that was part of Phase 2, revealed in 2012. However, and I hate to backtrack on you like this, the first or right exhibit is mainly viewable from the plaza before the entrance. This opened in 2010, and even though you're looking at Renee, this was often regarded as the bull yard. However, Renee's first son, Louis, the first elephant born in Toledo, lived in this yard. But since it's transferred to the Henry Dorley Zoo, the two exhibits are now currently combined. The area was designed to give the elephants plenty to do to stimulate themselves that matches their intelligence. Pools and piles of sand for bathing, most noticeably 4 40-foot tall utilitaries that suspends their food in the air at multiple heights. And what seems to be Lucas's favorite, massive tires chained, or formerly chained, to the back walls that allows them to display their strength, even at such a young age. From the elevated viewing deck, if you pay attention, you'll notice that there's several peepholes built into the back wall that gives you one final look at the Hippo Aquarium. And there's actually even a chance you'll be above them as well. We've spent quite some time talking about them, but elephants aren't out of the discussion just yet. To the very left side is access to the indoor facility. Like the hippos, you too can see the elephants year-round, and no matter the time of day, they have a choice to go in and out of their 9,000 square foot enclosed abode. It's equipped with more hanging toys and food nets. The heated floor is completely covered in sand, basically a necessity to have soft ground for elephants, but surprising nonetheless, because most indoor elephant facilities around the world are usually just concrete all around. The right visitor side is essentially a porch that gives you a different perspective of the main yard. The windows open and close, of course, based on the season, but the viewing windows for the indoor portion are always open, allowing you to get unobstructed looks, sounds, and even smells. The old elephant house apparently used to have an aviary, but now the animal you'll find in here that isn't an elephant are the naked mole rats. 4 exhibits to go down the final line. The first and closest to the elephants is a 20,000 square foot well-shaded yard that used to display a truly impressive white rhino couple before the last one passed away in 2017. They were temporarily replaced with camels, but as we'll see over in their indoor exhibit, in 2018 they brought in Ashish, a 4-year-old male Indian rhino from Ohio's safari park, The Wilds. His habitat with connecting pools runs together into the following habitat that once displayed bongos, dromedaries, watusi, and even yaks. The exhibit, the second largest of the Tembo Trail, now displays the 2-humped Bactrian Camel, a species that arrived at the zoo in 2015 and even bred a few years later. However, on my second time through the trail, I came across reindeer in the same habitat. Continuing on, going back to its African roots, the smallest outdoor habitat beyond the towering rockwork that really compresses the viewing opportunities, you will find the slender-tailed meerkats, who, on the highest point of their copy, really seem to be enjoying the threatening view. And the final enclosure of the Tembo Trail once exhibited Siegfried and Roy's 3 male white lions that were born at the Cincinnati Zoo, until the final one passed in 2015. Their 6,500 square foot yard is now a haven for 2 subspecies of bear. A Kodiak bear named Dodge was relocated from Alaska in 2016 after his mother was killed by hunters. He is now happily mixed with other orphaned females Cody and Montana, grizzly bears that were rescued from the Yellowstone National Park after their mother passed as well. And they too apparently will be getting a brand new exhibit within a few years. And now the Tembo Trail concludes and leads you back out into the plaza for you to explore the rest of the zoo. This attraction certainly has changed throughout the years, once being the main collection of the zoo's large African creatures to bringing in a mix of animals from all over the world. It kind of makes it unpredictable to know what could change next. Up there in the ranks with their aquarium, this may certainly be the strongest exhibit at the Toledo Zoo. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next very special episode on Zoo Tours.